Western Kole Diocese. In Kayunga, an imam exchanged marriage vows in Islamic culture with his wife, who later turned out to be a man. Many other religious leaders have often been accused of extortion and fleecing unsuspecting believers of their money in the name of God. These incidents have brought back the question of whether government should regulate the activities of faith-based organizations. To answer these and many more questions, we have Bishop Herbert Buyondo of the Kampala Born Again Faith, Simon Senyonga, a lawyer from Zoe Ministries, and Imam Idi Kasozi, the Imam of Mawanga Mosque in Munyonyo, only on the spot. Imam Kasozi, Bishop Buyondo, and Mr. Simon, thank you very much for honoring our invitation. I should just tell you that tonight, the spotlight of the country is on you. You are on the spot, gentlemen, and a warm welcome to all of you.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers.
Let me begin with you, Imam Kasozi, because you're seated so close to me here. and I also, in my introduction, talked about what happened in Kayunga for a Muslim cleric to marry a wife, quote unquote, and after 2 weeks later, the man or the woman he had exchanged marriage vows with turned out to be a man. That was an explosive story that came from Kayunga. I wonder, you as an individual or in the Islamic faith in Uganda, how you have responded to this issue, Imam Kasozi.
Thank you very much, and good evening, viewers. It is very interesting because what happened, if it happened anyway, because there are contradictions, there are a lot of theories that have emerged, particularly over the person who pretended to be a woman. I think some years ago, 1-2 years ago, in Jinja, he said he had become Muslim, but then he disappeared from the training center. And the next day, after some time, they came and arrested the director of the center, Sheikh Basoga. And they took him, and this man was saying, no, this one is a terrorist, he's what? Then, the very man said, he's not. That's how Sheikh Basoga escaped from being prosecuted, according to my sources now. And when Basoga saw his picture over this story again, he said, is this because he had accused him that Basoga was planning to hurt the Christians, especially in Jinja. So when he saw this, I have an audio from Sheikh Basoga, which I listened to. If I had known that we are going to discuss this, I would have brought it up.
I'm just, my producer just bringing the images of what was supposed to be the marriage ceremony.
But what I want to say is that, because when it happened, I remember when I read it, I talked to my congregation in the mosque, and I said, you see, the Baganda have a saying, or an adage in Uganda, which says that if you want to marry, you should ask. You see?
Yes.
If you want to marry anybody, you should ask. Whom do you ask?
If I can also put it in my language, which is Rutoro,
yes,
we say Aswera Buza.
Exactly.
Going to marry
it is almost,
you have to do,
it cuts across almost Africa. This, that if you want to marry, they do what you call due diligence. How should it be? But what is interesting is the story when they are talking about the would-be aunt, whom they visited also before it took place, and she was also arrested for some time. I don't know whether she has also been put in prison, but she was also arrested. Who said that, they brought her to me, or him. Now we don't know whether it is her or him.
Okay, when
he was old.
Yeah.
You see, and that one alone is shocking, because there is no way your brothers child.
So, okay, before we even go to that level, Imam Kasozi,
Yes.
do you believe a story that perhaps the Muslim cleric in Kayunga had no idea the person he's engaging with is a fellow man?
Yeah, he may not have, because in our tradition, you see, zina, that is extramarital or premarital sexual intercourse, is a big sin.
Haram.
Is one of the bigger sins, the 7. It's among the 7. And the Quran actually does not tell you that don't commit adultery or sin, zina. It tells you not to come closer to it. Wala takrabu zina, don't come closer to it. Why? It is a big sin and a road opening to other sins.
So for those who are saying that this man should have done some kind of due diligence, what kind of due diligence can somebody do when knowing that this is a sin? You don't even get close to it.
The due diligence, I think he did. If it is true he visited the would-be aunt, okay, then he did it, because in my village or in my community, the ones that believe and think like me, if you come and you say you want to marry our daughter, or my son says he wants to marry somebody's daughter, the first question would be, I want to talk to the boy who wants to marry my daughter, myself. And after talking to him, I give him an assignment of who are your parents. Did you go to school? Which school did you go to? Okay, which years? And then I begin to trace people who actually have been doing this, and my colleagues, they know, in Mawanga they know it. Yes. Some people looked at it in a manner that I think we are going overboard. But with this event that has happened now, I think people will open. The students I teach, who would be watching me now, I have told them, all of them, that the best intelligence officers against your future marriage are your classmates. Because especially at secondary level, primary level, because people there are innocent. They will reveal everything innocently. They have nothing to hide. Others in form of pride, others actually lying, but they want to be seen that they are active in some activities.
All right. Okay.
Therefore, the due diligence should be done by people who have responsibility of those who would like to get married.
Yeah, but even that due diligence may not tell you the sexual orientation of somebody.
No, it can. Because if I came to your home and they say this is your daughter or this is your son, okay, and when you tell me, you will confirm yes or no. Otherwise, if not, therefore, the problem is not with these two individuals. The problem is with the society.
All right, now that you've talked about the society, let me go to Bishop Buyondo. Because for a situation like this, or even many more, you find it is not only one person involved. There's a community, there's an aunt, there's some kind of a quandula. So have we reached at the level where almost people can gang up and maybe tell a lie to the rest of the world? After all, I think in Latin they have a saying that the voice of the people is supposed to be the voice of God. Vox populi is vox Dei. Yeah. Well, have we reached a level where the voice of the people now is not even the voice of God?
No. I think it is because we've not done enough background check. I don't think that the guy that married this gentleman who was pretending to be a lady did enough to investigate or to know his family, because in Africa here we still have family. In fact, the West, when the Western world looks at us, they even they are so much, they envy.
Yes, they admire the fact that we still have family. We're still connected.
Exactly.
We still have something to fall to.
Exactly. That is the most important thing that we still hold in Africa. We still have family and family values. But we are we're trying to turn away because of the modernity, because of the things that are happening, trying to do things on your own, trying to do things, with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, because it is you and you alone. You think you are the ones that have started this thing, not knowing that the thing called marriage has been in existence since the days of Adam. So, my point in here is, the gentleman did not do enough to do background check on this person he was going to marry. That's my point. Okay. If he had gone to his family, he would have known it. The family does not consist of an auntie only. It goes to a father, to a mother, sisters, brothers, people that are connected, the nuclear family and the extended family. Because even if you have been in courtship for 6 months, like I was, but I got to know my wife and the details of his family in 6 months, and that was it. We have been married for the last 25 years, clocking 26.
So, Simon, you are a lawyer by training, and I would want to imagine there are people who have their different sexual orientation and they have their right in other parts of the world, and sometimes because they are denied the chance to come out publicly, there are those who are stretching the idea that perhaps both of them knew what they are doing and they actually had a different sexual orientation, only that they were busted.
Well, number one, the question of sexual orientation is a question of nature, as opposed to what the Western world tries to superimpose on the African culture, that sexual orientation perhaps is a question of birth. Now, we know very well that at the time of the signing of the Anti-Homosexuality Act, which has since then been overturned by the Constitutional Court, there was a question of the scientific research as to whether sexual orientation is something natural or something that, it's just something that you grow into. It's sort of a culture that
you pick up
into. Now, the society we grow in, obviously, is highly homophobic. Now, strongly so because of the nature of the cultural setup, and also because of the strong religious foundations that we have as a nation. Now, this operation, obviously, tends to make people to draw back. But you know very well that there's a contention in our laws. The Constitution itself says that, marriage is for those who are above 18 years, and then it has to be, it doesn't have to be same-sex marriage. But the Constitution itself has a sort of a contradiction in Article 21, clause 2 of the Constitution, which says that, actually from Article 20, which says human rights are inherent, they are God-given. So normally, the argument is that, look here, I am, my being whatever, or maybe gay, it's because of it's God-given. The number 2, Article 21 says that there shall not be any discrimination based on sex. Now, again, Uganda is a signatory to a couple of international laws, which actually somehow slide in the aspect of homosexuality. Again, when you juxtapose that with Article 45 of the Constitution, which says that the human rights in the Constitution are not the only human rights. You can read into other laws, and again, when you read it together with the national objectives and the principles of the state policy, which are a key standpoint for the Constitution, it says that the nature of Uganda's foreign policy is to respect international agreements to which it is a party to. So what is the major argument I'm making here? That look here, our society previously and even up till now is highly homophobic. However, the law itself is still contentious. But you see, what the Western world is trying to do, it's using religious institutions to actually slide in those vices so as to have dominance, because they know the biggest threat of homosexuality, the biggest threat of same-sex marriage is either culture or religion. Now, those are the fundamental building blocks of our societal setup. Now, when you have the incidence of the imam who got married to a man, I want to look at the case quite objectively here, that either both of them should have had knowledge about this matter. I don't want to think the imam was very innocent, because from the stories I've seen, the auntie has postured the stories about the auntie who has posted us off as not having a very good record have come out, and even the neighbors. I have seen the interviews of the neighborhood who have said, but this gentleman here, from the time of actually, because it wasn't only the Kwanjula, I think there was a previous function where she came in and she was tying, I don't know what they call that. I don't say
she had veiled herself.
Yes, and they could tell that this the way he would roll his eyes, he didn't look like a woman. Then
well, that is very subjective anyway.
Yeah, very subjective. But you see, the thing is that at this level, you want to gather their evidence to have a balanced story. They go ahead to tell you they even went ahead to trust this individual, this gentleman. They would leave him or her in that situation with kids to take care of. So already the society itself, talk about due diligence, I think the society itself should have played a very key supportive role in unveiling these matters before even the ultimate Kwanjula. Because the Kwanjula is like a culmination of the background search that you've done, of the the due diligence that you've done. So society has not been very helpful extremely in handling this matter, but I think there's also been a nature of complacency from the Imam side in doing his obligation. Society
has not been very helpful. Let me come back to you, Imam Kasozi, because what I think should be shocking is just to think that the whole society has conspired to do something against the order of nature or to tell a lie to the rest of the world, and that tells us where are we going as a people. If people can conspire to that level to conceal something that they know, then we have a bigger problem than we think.
I don't want to say the economy. You see, the story could have come out, and they are still writing about it. But I know my experience with how stories come out. You see, the event where it happened. Now, people who were on the wedding, if it was a wedding anyway, if it is in a car, now we want to ask, because I have not asked, I have sent my people, I have not got the physical information from the ground, because the village they are talking about, I know it, I know Champisi, I know some people there, so I am still trying to find out exactly what exactly happened, because I know the way we conduct nikah, if it is going to take place, you see, in Islam, you don't just get married to somebody's daughter. No, even if she's willing. While we don't force somebody to marry anybody, the consent of the parents is key. 4 things must be there for nikah to take place. I think that's why probably we say, I also want to find out, was this one also an imam? Because he may not be. He may not be an imam, because an imam should know that the bride and the bridegroom should be there. The one who has authority, who should be the father? If the father is not there, the next in key, okay? Even in the Muslim marriage certificate, it is there. Who is
authorizing or whatever?
Yes, and then the question is, what is the relationship? Because is it a father, is it an uncle, is it a brother or a guardian? Okay? Then mahari. Mahari is the gift a man gives the woman. Okay? Then 2 witnesses. And a witness from each of the sides, okay, should be there. If those things are not there, what you have conducted in Islam is not an Islamic marriage. Okay? So, the words of Sheikh Basoga, who is there in Jinja, he's there, led me to think otherwise. When he mentioned, when he told his story about the very man, when he saw the news, you see. Now, was it a set-up exercise on either side? What was its purpose? 2, the way they found out that he was a man, that after stealing now, that he stole, and he jumped over somebody's fence, he stole, and he was running away with property. That's how they arrested him. And then said, the other thing is, if the imam was real, you see, in Islam, Islam is very clear. If a woman is in her periods or menstruation, there is no engagement in sex. Okay? But it is of 2 types. The imam should have known haid, which we call periods, naturally, scientifically, it is 3 to about 5 days. Everybody knows that. Every biology student knows that. Okay? If it goes that, in Islam, we give it another days. We say it can take a week or so. When it goes beyond 10 days to 15 days, it ceases to become periods. Okay?
It's a disease.
Yes, it becomes another situation, which even the Luganda, they have the language, they call it a chalalo. It is no longer periods. It is a chalalo in Luganda. Okay? So now, such a person, when a woman is in her periods in Islam, she's not supposed to pray. Swala. You see, not dua, because I make a difference between the supplication and the prayer. Okay. For us, swala and supplication are two different things. So, she's not supposed, she can supplicate, but she does not participate in the prayer, the prayers. Therefore, but when it goes beyond 15 days, then they say, that is no longer, now she can pray, she can participate in prayer. So the Imam ought to have known that. You see, that's why for me, not everybody who leads prayers is an imam. I call them, we have a prayer leader. Anybody can lead the prayers as long as he knows some part of the Quran. Okay? An imam is an officer who must be an administrator, who is a judge, okay?
A teacher.
He's a teacher, he's a manager, okay? He's a community leader. That is an imam. The title imam means that. But many people confuse leading prayers with imamship. And it might make that a bigger difference on that very, very matter. Therefore, I think, all said and done, we need to really investigate both, as probably the lawyer has said, both the imam, now in quotes according to me, and Mr. Tumushabe, I think his name is Tumushabe, who was a Nabukera, you see, who changed from a Nabukera to a Tumushabe now, and then from a woman to a man. People have used hijab to disguise. A minister in this country disguised in hijab over a hospital here. It is on record. That what did she want? She pretended that she was catching up with people who are corrupt. That is one. I have seen that. On one Friday, somebody whom we don't know whether he was a man or a woman also came, covered himself or herself, and disguised as a lady. She went to the ladies section. When they went down to prostrate, she snatched people's bags and she went and threw the hijab, the dress, the long dress she was wearing. He threw it in the compound of the mosque, and she disappeared with somebody's bag in my own mosque. What I'm saying is it's not a story, okay? Therefore,
no, even the people's churches tell you what's your bag, what's your your phone.
So the issue is the degeneration, probably part of society, or because some people who have tried to dismissify certain values.
But if you have not consummated that marriage after the wedding, so what should he have done? Because you know 4 days, 5 days, 1 week, what should he have done to consummate the marriage? Maybe he should go back, maybe the religious leaders and go, look, I'm married, but I'm not getting my conjugal rights.
Yeah, that is on his part. That's why I'm telling you now. I'm even doubting now whether he is. I will tell you, when I get my real story from the village, because I have asked the biggest sheikh in the area, who is closer to them. He has a school closer to Champis. I have asked him. He will give us a narrative.
Okay.
So therefore, the whole issue is really still is a confusing issue. Bishop, that's why I have not publicly, if you had not asked me, if I was not in a show, I was not prepared to talk about it. Some news person called me, and I said, actually from New Vision, you see, that is stupidity. Don't ask me to talk on something nonsense. I am not prepared to that. You see, so but because now this is a public show, I want to say the issue. I want us to shift it from just the two individuals to the society who participated, because this man did not fall like rain into this village, and they said he had spent 2 weeks at the mosque. dressed like that woman. That's how this man came to admire her. And who later turned to be him. Okay, you see, it is a very interesting.
All right, and okay. I just don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but maybe if you can conclude that very issue, in a marriage like this, whether it is in church or a mosque, and a believer has gotten married, and when you go to your home of 1 week or 2 weeks, you have not enjoyed your conjugal rights. In that case, what does somebody do? Because whether him or her.
Of course, when they come to the one that wedded them, who solemnized that marriage is null and void if there is no conjugal rights. That's what makes it the marriage, biblically and theologically, and that is the purpose, because the Bible says God made the two to come together so that they may have the children or a generation that fears the Lord. That is Malachi. And therefore, if it doesn't happen, the process that brings us to get children, if that process misses, that means we are not in the right path with God's process. And therefore, that can be declared null and void. So, if you happen to have such a problem, you come back to the clergy, you come back to your pastor and report the incident, and you have to sit down and come to a conclusion of the matter, and then the pastor can go back into the congregation and say, I declare these ones as one, they are no longer one, because of A, B, C, D.
So, Imam Kasozi, coming together as man and wife, especially if they are married, is some form of, maybe you call it ibadah, right? Some kind of, it's an ibadah, some kind of worship in itself. Yes. And if it has not happened, and you know it in Islam, you call it ibadah. Ibadah has not happened, then you need to...
No, you see, it was not happening because of a valid excuse. Yes. Okay? What? A valid excuse. I am in menstruation. And therefore, the man trusted the wife. Okay? Then later, those are the results. But the question now also asks, when you live with somebody in a house for 14 days, because they say 14 days, if I don't know how many days they had stayed together, 14 at least the movement would show you. Let me tell you, no matter whether you want or not, me, Imam Kasozi, a sociologist, if somebody dressed in a female's clothes, or a female dressed in a male's clothes and pretend to be a man, or the other way around, I would know. You see?
Yeah.
I would know, because whether you want or not, our body structure differs very much, except for a few cases. You see?
Maybe this was one of the few.
Now, didn't she take shower for the 2 weeks? Or she showered when the man was not there? You see? Oh, did they sleep in the same bed? Because if they slept in the same bed, even if somebody kept on clothes by instinct, you see, I don't want to say what I should have said, because this show is seen by everybody. There's younger children who are there. If it was for only old people, I will tell you what we say in fiqh. You see, when we are taking fiqh, things we say them as they are for people to understand. I know if in this country, for example, you forget that one. Some people, old people, got married in the 80s, and they spent about 3 years without conceiving. And you know, in the African context, they give you 6 months. If they expire without conceiving, then they begin to say many words. So, why? Both of them were virgins, both the man and the woman, and they did not know what to do until after 3 years. That's when they went to the doctor, who was so inquisitive, and asked them, what do you do? And when they explained what they did, he found they were not having the real conjugal life. That's why they were not conceiving. And when he told them what to be done, it happened. Therefore, the problem is what we have attached to some of these.
Is that a real story?
It is a real story.
I want for sure.
It is a real story.
I want to know where that story was.
It is a real story.
You know,
in Mlago,
scholar.
you see, in Mlago, no, it is a real story.
You know, we need to get all this information.
It is a real story.
Okay.
And even the doctor who did this, I know him. I'm not imagining. I was a student at the university at that time, in I think 84. I know it. You see, there are many things that happen in our society, but because of our traditions and cultures, okay, that we pretend they are not happening. Okay, that's why I told you it is because the show is for everybody. If it was for above 18.
Okay, very briefly before we take a break, Simon.
Yes.
In that case, as a lawyer, probably you're married and then somebody is not giving you a right, giving you an excuse after excuse. Well, what do you do?
I think the judicial system offers a couple of remedies, and you can see court intervention, all right, in regards to enforcing your conjugal rights, because that the nature of marriage in itself, the benefits of marriage in essence, is procreation and co-creation. So conjugal rights is a key factor in that. But maybe again, that notwithstanding, just to summarize on my side this whole question, I think the tender underbelly of this story has a two multi-pronged approach. Number one, most likely this story seems to be a well choreographed story to sell a particular agenda of westernization, which actually is the question of making same-sex marriage a debate within our society and within the media. Now, this story, for me, and the way I have known these movements to operate, is that they are very subtle. Now, obviously, they will focus on the most unlikely opportunities for them to raise up their flag. And no wonder now we are discussing it as a seemingly relevant issue. Now, before you know it, many people who are from that movement will be coming up to defend actually these two individuals. Number two, this story has a perspective of the nature of our criminal justice system. Look at the history of this young man, and I listened to him on interviews. He said, by the way, I did get myself to this situation because I desired it. He says, I think he lived somewhere in Nachivubo, and then somehow he ends up somewhere in Mukono, then he ends up that side in Kayunga. Now, what happens is that he has had an evident and trackable criminal record. But there has been, the police has actually often, I've been told from the stories around the media, he says that he has been often been released. And no, so he's not the only one, by the way. Many of those. I think, again, he has had a history of homosexuality and homosexual tendencies. All right. Now, that's why you cannot only blame the imam, but most likely also the imam in this situation could be a possible culprit in this incident or in this question of homosexuality. So the criminal justice system has shown that it cannot be trusted in this regard. Secondly, even the society itself, because the nature of our societies, for example, like in Kayunga, it doesn't need a high profile and highly scientific way of monitoring crime. But society itself has a way it's self-organized to be able to trace such tendencies. So the unique criminal justice system, both on the high end and even in such, local levels, has shown that it's actually very, very, very porous. And that's why we're having such cases emerging. But the biggest thing about this whole discussion is that I believe that this is a target on what religion ought to be. It's a target on the institution of marriage by different forces, and I know very well and most likely that this could be a well choreographed and serving silent players behind, who are trying to push from all angles and who can best debate it. Come to religion, come to culture. The Imam made a very valid point that the nature of our traditional setup and our cultural constitution shows that we don't want to acknowledge that particular things are happening. I think historically there have been issues, for example, having a king in Buganda who was engaged in those acts. We have had different individuals engaged, but somehow because we are from this society and trying to defend society, we shall try to dismiss. and argue anything else, but we actually know that this is a big confrontation, and we know who is trying, and we're trying to know who is trying to push this kind of discussion to make it relevant here.
Simon, Bishop Buyondo, and Imam Kasozi, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we shall change gears and look into something else. We'll be right back.
Everybody loves their home. Why not make it beautiful with ABC Styles and Baths? We provide the best designer tiles, sanitary ware, bathware, and building materials. We deal with the best brands like Toto, Bathex, Hansgrohe, Granite Ogres, Porcelanosa, and many more. We offer the finest products worthy to make your home enticing. View our large range of products by visiting our showroom along Jinja Main Road, JR Complex. Call us at 256-776-022-333. ABC Styles and Baths. Make relationship through business.
When it comes to power and electrical appliances, we recommend Shule Cables. Shule Cables are of the best quality, long-lasting, reliable, and certified by Uganda National Bureau standards. They come in different types at very good prices. Single-core cables, twin cables, flexible cables, and armored cables. With Shule Cables, you're assured of safety. They are made with the best machinery and technology. Find them in all electrical distribution outlets countrywide. For more information, visit our website. Shule Cables, you're assured of safety. Are you tired of cracked buildings, broken water tanks, and dripping ceilings? Cry no more. Alfizo is the solution. Alfizo is a waterproofing material from Europe used for a long-lasting building. Alfizo, say bye-bye to cracks.
The festive season is for family reunion and celebration. Mirembe Villas celebrates this Christmas and New Year by offering you affordable houses with a 3-year payment period. You may have a 4-bedroom villa at monthly installments of 12 million Uganda shillings, or a 3-bedroom bungalow at monthly installments of 8.5 million shillings, a 4-bedroom apartment at monthly installments of 6.6 million shillings. With Mirembe Villas, you can design your own house, your own garden, and you deserve a secure gated community life with lake view and golf course view. Mirembe Villas, your future home awaits you.
Hey, baya kabulijo. Buli omu alina ekimusingira ky'okola ebyokunywa byaffe tubikoze nga biweweevu nnyo eri omu milogo era ng'obunywa osigala olikiriya ate nga tebina hangover woomerwa Hero Cane Spirit Blue Moon Premium Gin kitoko vodka n'ekifuara mu cupa eza mililita 2, 3 ne 750 gusange mabaala maduuka ne supermarket ezikuli okumpi.
You're watching On The Spot. My name is Patrick Kamara, and my guests tonight are Bishop Herbert Buyondo of the Kampala Born Again Faith, Simon Senyonga, a lawyer from Zoe Ministries, and Imam Idi Kasozi, the Imam of Mawanga Mosque in Munyonyo. Now I want to change gears and go to another subject, because there's another church leader who is saying the whole issue of having marriage vows really is no big deal. In fact, it is not even sanctioned by God. Let's get to hear what Pastor Aloysius Bugingo said.
naye sirina wantu wemmanyi Katonda ng'agamba nti abafumbo okufa kwe kuli baawukanya era sina wemmanyi nga waliwo abafumbo omwami n'omukyala nga bakuba ekiragaano nti okufa kwe kuli twawukanya kati ekiragaano ekyo ekitambula mu balokole mu baprotestante ne mu bakatuliki mu basiraamu simanyi oba gyekiri kuba tebatera kwawukana lwakufa naye mu beeyita abagoberezi ba Kristo setaani yatutega ekintu kubanga yajja okubba okutta n'okuzikiriza.
All right, Pastor Aloysius Bugingo there, speaking with a lot of clarity about the issue that he's convinced about. And I'm going to begin with Bishop Buyondo there. Your take, sir.
That is 100% wrong. And I came out boldly to talk against it. Both in public, on different stations, and in church. Trying to tell the people that what this guy is trying to impose is bringing in a new doctrine of his own. And in fact, I can ably say that if we are not careful, we are getting another Chiwetere. Because there are so many people that have a lot of challenges. I wouldn't call them problems. Challenges in their marriages that need to get an escape route. And when they hear such a person, they will be coming. Remember, he started with the rings, talking against the wedding ring, saying that it is not biblical. That's totally wrong. From Genesis, we see a ring, and the ring, it is a sign of marriage. When Joseph was being given the authority over Egypt from the king, from Pharaoh, he gave him a ring as a sign of authority. And when we are making our marriage vows, we give a gift of a ring saying that I've given you authority over my life, over everything that belongs to me. That is the purpose of the ring. He started with that, saying it's not biblical, without knowing how did this ring start. So this same person came up and said, but because for me, I know the guy. I'm his best man, by the way.
You are his best man?
Yes, when he was wedding Teddy.
So he was making those vows?
Yes, when he made those vows, I was there. I was the witness. I signed, and I witnessed it. So I told the people that you get ready. This guy knows where he's going. He's going to divorce his wife. He's going to leave his wife. And a few years later...
So wait a minute. If you are his best man, then you're supposed to be like the guy, the birds of the same feather.
That would be, but for me, I'm faithful. I've been married with my wife for the last 25 years. And when I became his best man, I was already married. Because he just... He had stayed with the wife, and after coming into ministry, that's when he came to sanctify his marriage. And I became his best man. So he found me in the what? In the institution of marriage. So I can't be like him. But because he escaped and did whatever he did, so I was like, I told the people, I warned them, said he knows where he's going. Because he was digging his foundation. So with this one, he knows what he's saying. He knows. And is trying to make up, to do his own preparation for something that is coming. That one I can assure you.
Let me come to you, Simon. And the last time we met before this year, I remember you are organizing for a wedding, and I can see you wearing some kind of a huge diamond ring. Yeah. I'm sure the wedding happened, though I never attended. So you must be newlywed and newly married, and still into some kind of a honeymoon. What do you take of it? What's your take?
I think number one, Pastor Bujinga has been in the media making very many seemingly controversial statements, and he has oftentimes grounded his perspectives on biblical views and at times personal experiences. Now obviously many a times he ruffles many feathers because of his strong opinions, but you see, Patrick, whereas I may not fully agree with whatever Pastor Bujingo says, what I have to honestly say is that Pastor Bujingo has oftentimes come out to make very strong views concerning issues that many of the elderly pastors, so to say, or the older generation of the men and women of God in this nation have come out. They haven't wanted to tackle them bare knuckles, and he has been very, very strong on a couple of these things. For example, what we are always engaging in, this stupid and bogus religious and faith organizations policy, which Minister Lokodo and his son.
Bishop Biondo is a supporter of this.
I don't say it is stupid and bogus in a derogatory manner. I'm only descriptive about what it is. Now, number two, Pastor has made very firm opinions on that. And also the question of the marriage vows. I think now there is a biblical perspective to that, all right? And I fully agree to it. However, there has been a lot of religion which has seeped into the born-again faith. Now, because of that, we have literally become, many of the born-agains have literally become almost religious, if I was to draw a distinction between religion and spirituality, all right? Now, because of that, you have some of these voices who come out and make very strong stands, and they will rattle many feathers. But you see, again, the question of Pastor Bujingo is not a question of national importance. You get it? It's not a question of national importance. But actually, what the media has always tried to do is, and I know all this again goes back to some of the people, the proponents of this policy, who try to have such cases emerging. And if you,
so are you saying, wait a minute, because I wanted to go to that policy before, but are you saying they are painting him in that way so that because he has been, opposing that policy, and that's why we're talking about it?
I think
for what you've just seen him speak in the church?
Well, number one, there are many people who agree.
Is it a concocted story against Pastor Bugingo, or he just spoke? What we played for you, and we're asking you to respond to it, what you make of this?
Well, and I think I'm giving my views very, very strongly. Now, they may not augur well with them.
Because you are digressing a little to something that is here to come.
No, because I want to show you that actually, when you're dealing with such issues, there is a back end to all things. All right? I don't want to be drawn to what should be something which is, trying to simplify the debate to take us off the main matter. All right, that if we get diverted to discussing Pastor Bujingo, then there will be a validation for making this policy. All right. Number two, if you've been now you're a media personality, you've been following the stories in the past 3 weeks. What did it begin with? A Protestant or an Anglican, I don't know, reverend or bishop, who slept with a young lady, all right, and denied until they went to the Minister of Children and Youth, Honorable Nachiwala, who made a stand. In the next time, we are having the imam who marries a man. Then we are ending up with Pastor Bujingo. All right? Now, you don't want to tell me that Pastor Bujingo and the issues like that have been at the forefront.
Don't forget that there was your own pastor, Prophet Mbonye, was in court because was at police because he misled the public.
No, because of false accusation. No. I won't say listen, Patrick, I won't say and I am passionate about these issues because I know how I was involved.
I just want to give you the chronology of things because you left out something.
Exactly. And exactly now that you bring it in, it all began again. They're trying to implicate Prophet Elvis, and they make up the most stupid case of the millennium by, for example, Bishop Buyondo has a Facebook account. I am his follower. I make a statement, but because my names are attached to his, they say I'm the one who made that. All right, and all that was actually a target because he has spoken out strongly about the religious policy. Now, all that again to respond to your statement that there has been a consistency by individuals who want to target religious leaders. And because of that, they're building up momentum and justification. Why? Because they cannot come out at the forefront. All right? I am quite sure that you guys had invited Reverend Canon Aaron Mwesige, who was on a couple of times together with his colleague, Father Simon Lokodo. He died from the media because they know what they're doing is completely wrong. They know that they have no moral authority because of their own, if you're discussing Pastor Bujingo, why don't you discuss some of these individuals who are sent away from All Saints Church for stealing money? Why aren't you not discussing a priest who has to regulate the born-again faith and religion after being excommunicated from the Catholic Church? Why not discussing that? Why are we then digressing into a debate that, it's this born against? We want to blow everything out of proportion to build justification. So, the question of the marriage vows is not the most contentious issue and not the most important issue for the nation right now. But we know that the guys who are pushing for this policy are actually choreographing their story to come up in full swing.
I see your views, but I'm wondering how you jump, because that was the next step we're going to. But before you, Bishop Yondo, because I need to hear from the scholar, the Islamic scholar, Imam Kasozi, what do you make of some of these things? Should there be, I know that's not your faith, but you're a leader and a scholar. I would want to hear your voice.
This is, you see, theology, those who have studied theology critically, they will tell you, it is not just the verses only. You see, that's what he's asking, and that's what many people ask. Bring Reno. Religion is not started like that. Even I can bring Reno. We read the same statement together, we get different understandings.
Different interpretations.
Exactly. That's why I think his bishop is reminding him that, it is there. You see? Unlike, because for us in Islam, we differentiate. We have God's words, the Quran. We have the message, the words of the Prophet and his actions, the hadith. Okay? We differentiate them. And then we have the words of the scholars, those who have read these books and interpreted them and given different views. Then some people have added with them to give you. Therefore, if you want to understand religious matters very well, you differentiate, because we have people who have classroom knowledge of religion. The classroom knowledge is to pass exam. Then there are those who have read the books. But as I have told you, when you read the books, you have to you have your own interpretation or understanding of the matter. Then there are those who discuss as we are discussing, and in the process of discussing, we come out with clear understandings of some situations. So I don't want to buy the idea of saying I have read the what? 1,000 times. You can read even 1,000,000 times without understanding even what you have read. Therefore, I am not better placed to talk about the rings, because even in some Muslims we have, others we don't have. We don't have. But we don't dismiss it the way somebody is saying it. But if I want to use the person now over what happened in the past, I think that's what as he has put it, he was preparing for a situation, for a soft landing for himself, because his matter has been all around with the wife, okay? And therefore now, if such issues begin to come out, then we begin to say, was he preparing for his soft landing, or he wants also to jump out of it with probably some dignity, okay? That's why I want to put it. I don't want to go beyond that one.
All right.
Because it's more personal, and I don't want to discuss people, because I don't have a simple mind.
All right. Let me maybe the last part from
Yes. I want to disagree with my brother, and also bring some clarity when it comes to scriptures. What this guy is claiming is not real. The Bible is clear when it comes to scriptures. And when my brother says it's not a national matter, what matters, which matter is national than family? Because we respect people because of their family. I cannot look at you just joking with your family. You don't respect your children, don't respect your wife, don't respect your husband, and you think I respect you as a leader. As a leader, leadership starts from a family. And therefore, anything concerning, the Bible says, if you are an elder, not even, leave alone a bishop, but an elder is somebody respected in society. But an elder in church is said to have, you must have command over your children. You must be a husband of one wife. That's Bible. That's Timothy. You know what I mean? And therefore, if your family, you cannot handle your family, you are disqualified from leadership. When scriptures are so clear when it comes to a husband and a wife being together, you come together for life, and anything done to separate you, that is out of God. And that's our theology. That is what the scriptures say. That's what is known, and you don't need to explain much, because it is known. People who don't want to stay together for life, they do it outside church, because they know their thing is chita mulujja. That's what the Baganda say. Chita mulujja is something ad hoc. anything that happens, it is between me and you, and therefore we don't need to have anything in public. We don't need to go to church. We can do it somewhere else. And that's our argument also. We are arguing, and we are telling, we have already written to the Speaker of Parliament. We are suggesting as
you have written the Speaker of Parliament?
Yes.
On what?
Suggesting that marriage, the Christian marriage, be separated from the civil marriage. Because these two are put together, and when somebody is wedded in church, when it comes to separation, they go to court. Why don't they come back to church? If the church can join you together, why can't they be part in your separation?
So
is it that provided?
Does the church have a provision for separation?
Yes, we have it. We have it in the scriptures. That's the canon law.
I know in Islam, if somebody says tarak once, tarak twice, and tarak third,
not like that.
the marriage is over.
So even the Bible provides for that, and therefore we have written to the Speaker, we want in
Tarak
this new marriage law.
Yeah, but 3 times of tarak,
But
marriage is over.
it's a process, you see.
Into this new marriage law, we want these two to be separated, so that the civil law is worked upon by the laws of Uganda only. When it comes to Christian marriage, it is based on Christian principles, and that's the Bible, the canon law.
I want to change gears and look into another issue, because political leaders are accusing your churches of extortion, that really somehow you hoodwink your believers, and before you know it, take money from them. Let me have my producer play that issue so we can get to hear your views.
I'm going to call the Interreligious Council, to whom I'm going to intimate the errantness of my pastor, Bujingu, to tell them, why do you allow someone to pose in the attire of a missionary, in the attire of a pastor, when actually it's not pastoring, it's destroying the sheep? You must be able to regulate yourselves as religious leaders. I'm going to call the Interreligious Council, to whom I'm going to intimate the errantness of my pastor, Bujingu, to tell them, why do you allow someone to pose in the attire of a missionary, in the attire of a pastor, when actually it's not pastoring, it's destroying the sheep?
Okay, that's not quite the kind of soundbite I needed, because earlier he was talking about extortions that is taking place by religious leaders, and no wonder the Minister of Ethics and Integrity, they have come out with that policy, the faith-based organization kind of policy, yes, which I'm sure Simon was so much opposed to, and he went ahead before we could even bring it. Yeah. So why do you think there should be some kind of, registering them? Why do you need that policy?
For me, I see many advantages with the policy, because the 5 or 4 that were left by Idi Amin were given liberty, which was not given to other people. When the new constitution came in place, it opened up. But opening up, it did not have a kind of filter of who comes in. We are just lucky in Uganda that we have a few religions, but in other countries like in Kenya, there are so many, and many, I mean many, and those who pretend to be religious people. So, and they're coming into the country. These people just know what they're looking at here, and they think we don't need to filter what comes into society. Remember, our society is so religious. Whoever pretends to be religious can take them into their docket and do whatever they want. This policy, according to how I have studied it, have read it, I've participated in it, I've been in meetings ever since it started. It is not against, against religion or against fighting
faith-based organizations.
Fighting faith-based organization. No. It is all about helping us, and because they don't have the technical capacity to do the policy, it's the reason why they called us as religious leaders to come on board and do something that we think is right.
He must be now an enemy of other religious
leaders. I know, there are so many. And there are so many, and one of them is him. And his team, because they have not gone down in the depth of this policy, they think, even from the big, there are many people you respect in society. You would think they know what is happening. They know nothing, and they don't want to know.
Why must you regulate them?
Not regulating. This policy is not going to regulate. Instead, it is giving the faith organization to regulate ourselves. Instead of being regulated by government, but because like the Born Again Faith and the rest of us, we are under the NGO, being taken like charitable organizations. We were submitting in returns every year. I mean, to the extent of even making lies in your document. If because you fear to make a lie, you give it to lawyers, and they make a lie on your behalf. That you have done this charity, you have done this activity on your behalf, because you don't want to lie because you're a pastor. But the truth of the matter is you are telling a lie. It's the reason why our elders in church demanded for taking us as a church from out of the NGO.
Zoe Ministries and you, Simon, you're so much opposed about this.
Yes, we are.
Why?
Maybe first of all, to set the record straight, I am not an enemy to my to one of the leading men of God in this nation, Pastor Bishop Buyondo. I think I am way past that level of making enmity on such matters where we can discuss and agree to disagree or disagree to agree. I think that's a much more mature approach of us discussing this. Now, we have made our stand quite clear on why we oppose this policy. And maybe for Bishop Buyondo, the advantage I have over him, that I am skilled and educated in the law. So I will be able to identify what the dangers of that law is. Number one, this policy has changed names. It has previously been called the Religious and Faith-Based Organizations Policy. Then it took on a new twist into the Religious and Faith Organizations Policy. What are the contents of the policy? From the problem statement of the policy, the key highlights of the policy is: number one, there's extortionism in the different religious sects. Number two, there's lack of proper regulation within those particular sects. Then, number three, there is lack of a systematized mechanism of assessing, monitoring, implementing, and even licensing the different religions. So what is the solution to that? They come up with something they call the Religious and Faith Organizations Board. It is to be replicated at the national level and at the district level, continuously to the sub-county levels. Who are the key enforcers of the policy? You have the academia, you have the media, you have the religious leaders, you have the government, under the line ministry of the Ministry of Ethics and Integrity, which falls under the office of the President. That's the biggest problem. Number one, they are subjecting the entire religious system into an elective office, which is the office of the President. Who are the people presiding over that office? You're having Father Simon Lokodo, you're having Bishop, you have Reverend Canon Aaron Mwesije, and a few other individuals who want to decide. The third problem of that policy is that it creates a board at the higher level. Who sits on that board? You have the DISO, you have the ISO, you have about 2 representatives from the religious organizations, then you have a few others from the community-based organizations. What's the danger with that? You're having the people who are deciding the majority matters at that level to dictate what's happening amongst all religions. How do you qualify to sit on that board? I wonder whether Bishop Buyondo, who claims or who accuses himself of having been a part of that, whether he saw that part. That actually who sits on that, and how would you qualify to be there?
The minister and the DISOs and all the people talked about are all appointed by the President, who has the mandate of the people of Uganda.
Exactly.
Who has the mandate of the people of Uganda.
And now I will tell you that because I want to show you the danger with that. That you're having religions being subjected to a line ministry which falls squarely under the docket of the office of the President. Then you're having individuals who are sitting on that body who are squarely, the majority are appointed by the President. Then how do you qualify to sit on that board? They say that you must be a part of the recognized religious institutions. For example, the Zoe Ministries, Prophet Elvis Mbonye, is not a part of the Interreligious Council, is not part of any of the Christian organizations, and as such he doesn't qualify to sit on that. But this should be a matter which should be seen by everybody, that commands a very large following. All right. a person like that is a key stakeholder. By the way, as a matter of fact, the likes of Bishop Buyondo here, who are claiming that they have done all they do, that they know what is, they're in touch on the ground, they have actually acted in the most mischievous manner that you've ever seen, that you've never seen in the making of policy in this nation. There are ministerial guidelines of making policy of 2013, which were actually implemented by the Ministry of Public Service and must be followed by all ministries when making policy. What do those guidelines say? Number one, when you're making a policy, there must be serious and thorough research. You must bring in all key stakeholders. There must be widespread consultation, and there must be you must listen to those who oppose. What did they do? They called for a meeting. There have been about 3 consultative meetings, high-level consultative meetings. The first one was called in October, all right? That happened, I think, somewhere in Mukono. Then the second one had to happen at Hotel Africana. What happens? The meeting had to happen on a Thursday. We were given a letter to attend the week before. Then, on the day of the meeting, we show up at Africana. What are we told? That actually, the meeting was called off. In their address to the prophet, they told him, you are a key stakeholder in the making of this policy. Then, they called off the meeting up till now. And what are they doing back end? Number one, they're instigating crime, all right? And they're trying to
Instigating crime, what do you mean?
For example, I'll give you this example. I've been a part of that case of Prophet Elvis Mbonye, where the government accused him of spreading false information under Section 23 of the Immunization Act about the national immunization program of rubella and measles. And what did they say? They said you wrote wrong information, all right, on your Facebook post. We show up at CID. Investigations begin. It was very clear cut from the beginning that Prophet Elvis Mbonye was not the gentleman called Dr. Elvis Mugisha Mbonye. All right? So they say, but you're the one. You're the one. Now, obviously, as those who are involved behind, we knew, they could tell us, you know what? We know very well that the only reason as to why you are having this prophet in CID, it is because he's opposed to this policy.
All right, hold on that point. We've had those two sides now. I think Imam Kasozi, I need you to weigh in here. What do you make of this policy? I don't know whether you've read it, but I'm sure that also comes to regulate you as well, or to organize you as well.
You know, I am confused with the policy, because what is it regulating? Is it regulating faith-based organizations or religion? Because my religion is not a faith-based organization. At least I'm very aware of that. That Islam has nothing to do with faith-based organization. But some Muslims can have their organizations, okay? Because they are Muslims, because they are Christians. So I think the policy should come out very clearly to tell us what exactly are they regulating. Because if they want to reach out, because let me tell you, why did it come up? They say the following. It is based on the following. Number one, manipulation. That some church leaders or religious leaders are manipulating their followers. 2, exploitation. That the masses are being exploited. 3, promotion of witchcraft. I don't know which religion. When we talk about religion, you cannot talk about witchcraft unless you are talking about tthe, the traditional African religion. For them, they have their way, and they have also been promoted. You know what, they have a big organization and they are moving towards that. Then they say loss of lives. Okay, you see, when you look at each of these, even when you go to the state itself, all these are there. The state is manipulating the people. It is exploiting them. People are losing their property because of the state. The revenue authority is just accuses you of something, and then your property is taken. Revenue authority is the state. It's part of the state. You see, then loss of lives. Many people have been killed by the state. People may fear to say it, but I don't. People have been killed by the state, okay, in one way or another. They say disunity. What are you not seeing? The political organizations and political parties are bringing a lot of disunity amongst Ugandans, because that sensibility of thinking that we can differ on something but remain the same. Because I am very certain, okay? Then another thing that increased domestic violence, okay, is an issue. Family breakdowns, instability in society. You see, promotion of immorality. No, religion cannot promote what? So let us differentiate between religion and the faith-based organizations. Then, if these faith-based organizations, whether we want, the laws that exist even can work on them.
There's no need of having another policy.
Yes, the laws in which they are. But the problem is, those people who are supposed to implement law in this country, some of them are not aware of the law, including police officers. I have had a lot of arguments with them on the road, on whatever, because they don't know what they are doing. Okay, therefore, do we need to be regulated? You can't regulate religion, but for the organizations, because every organization that is registered must have what we call articles and memorandum of association, okay, which is like their constitution. And these constitutions of every organization must be in tandem with the national constitution or the national laws, okay. In the penal code, we have an issue. We have enough, I think, that can work on some of these. So therefore, I think to some level, you see, a lot of offices have been created in this country, and when they create an office, somebody who is in that office must also put something in place so that to protect his office, so that he's working. I would like maybe, I don't know, the consultations. I don't know, they say the consultations were done. I want partly to disagree with them, because in this country, if we are consulting on a matter like this, I'm not saying that I must be present, but I have never seen anywhere, whether in the organizations I work for, whether in my mosque, or Imam Kasos as an individual who is an elder now at 60. I'm now 61. I am an elder in this country. So certain things, you see, individuals have sat down and they are coining certain things which are going to affect the masses, okay? They may have consequences. But what is the problem? The problem is politics, to me. It is nothing else.
All right.
Because I want to wind up. Why? The politicians that we have today, at one time or another, they have used these so-called faith-based organizations to do their duties. They are beginning to think that somebody else may use them, and therefore, what do? Let us look at them. To me, I am only asking one thing. Let us differentiate between faith-based organizations and religion.
That's why, before you respond, we're going to take a break. When we come back, you can respond to that, Bishop Buyondo, and then I'll open the line so that you two at home or wherever you are, you can be a part of this discussion. You're going to see numbers on the screen. Please, you pick up the phone and call. Just in case if you have disagreed, please disagree with respect with the gentlemen here who are on my panel. We'll be right back.
Been around in the city, party in the city. Everybody's talking about swag in the city. Bottles up, get the party lit with swag. God, what you did. Get your party started with swag. Carbonated alcoholic beverages in 3 different styles: extreme, screwdriver, and twist. Grab yourself a swag bottle now and change the way you party. Swag is available in shops, supermarkets, bars, and clubs near you. Swag is not for sale to persons under 18. Swag responsibly.
The Bank of Uganda and the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda hereby inform depositors of all commercial banks, credit institutions, and microfinance deposit-taking institutions to update their personal information with their respective financial institutions by submitting the following: National Identification Number alternative mode of payment. This could be either an alternative bank account or mobile money telephone number. The Bank of Uganda wishes to assure the public that the financial sector is safe and sound. For further information, please contact Bank of Uganda on info@bou.or.ug or the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda on info@dpf.or.ug.
Hi there, Albert here. Alex Mutuni from Power of Legacy. Festive season is here, and what is festive? Family. Before you embark on that long journey, safety first. And what is safety for us? Ensuring the car you travel in is properly serviced.
Safety to me is planning your journey. The stopovers, how long you're going to take on your stopovers, so that you avoid last-minute rush.
Safety to me means keeping myself free from harm and others from danger. The seatbelt has to be on. No picking phone calls while driving, and then no overloading the car.
Deco, every life matters.
This message was brought to you by Viva Energy and NTV Uganda.
Welcome back. You're watching On The Spot. My name is Patrick Kamara. My guests tonight are Mr. Simon Senyonga, Bishop Herbert Buyondo, and Imam Idi Kasozi. I want to go to another issue before I can open the lines, because there's a gentleman in Kamwenge. According to his people there, he's actually God living amongst his people. Yes, and let me ask my producer to show those images. What you're looking at, those images, are a God living amongst his people. And I just want, yeah.
Those are the issues. If you are government and you know you are in charge, can you allow such a thing to happen? Somebody calling himself a god, and you just keep quiet? Let me tell you, for me,
who are you to challenge people's faith?
Please,
it is their faith.
There is, if somebody
that's what they believe.
No,
even what you believe in.
That
I was in Jerusalem, in Israel, about 10 years ago, and everywhere I went, they would tell me, Patrick, your man was buried here. Your man, this is where he was buried from. They can't even believe. There, where Jesus was born, they just don't believe.
That is
written. I was at the Sea of Galilee. I was at the Jordan River. I was in Jerusalem. I was at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Maybe like 10% believe.
But that is written in the Bible.
They think, are you mad? I said, okay. This is where your man was. It's a matter of faith.
That shows us that the story that is in the Bible is true, and therefore what we are following is right. So if you are government and you look at such things happening, and you think you'll sit down and do nothing. What I wanted to see to respond to are some of the things that raised by my brother here. One, change of name for the policy. Why? It is because the policy was given to the consultant. He was given an assignment that comes, that its genesis is in the NGO policy 2010 that stipulates that the RFBOs, religious and faith-based organization, that is the name that is in the 2010 NGO policy. When they were taking out these organizations or churches and faith organizations out of the NGO board, it was named religious and faith-based organizations. So it is the reason why it came into this side. And then when we saw it, we wanted to get a clarification. What are they after? Is it organizations that are faith-based, like, for example, like World Vision, Caritas? And they said, no, those are NGOs. Those are charitable organizations. We are not after that. We are talking about religious and faith organizations. Why religious and faith organizations? For us as Barokole, we don't call ourselves a religion. So we don't want to be called religious. And then the Catholics are saying, we are not a faith, we are a religion. And so what brings us together is give them their religion and give us our faith. And that's how it came to be religious and faith organizations. You get the point.
So they can have you and have Imam Kasozi
together. So that's the change. The reason why the name changed.
Now can we be governed by the same thing? It becomes again now difficult because we are two different entities.
I want to do this. Why why do they have to be under the office of the president? That is not my decision. It's the decision of the people in authority. For example, the cabinet. For this case, religions were divided in different dockets. The Balokole under NGO. The Catholics and whatever under the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, because they were doing some whatever, they were there. And some others, Muslims, also registered as, I
want to put this question to Simon, because Imam Kasozi alluded to it.
Yes.
And I think in the past, the born-again churches were like the firewall of the NRM party, because they knew that was like a fundamental base. Is that fundamental base of the NRM, which used to be like the born-again churches, getting breached, and that's the fear?
I think.
Are you guys, maybe you're getting infiltrated by people who now are no longer towing the line of government, and that could be the problem?
I think the question of the firebrand breed is not a question of infiltration. I think it's what the state fears most is they don't know what to deal with mystical issues, supernatural issues, and people who you cannot contain in a religious setup, or people you cannot contain in a systematized mechanism. For example, if previously you've had people, or you gather some pastors, like the way you saw some of them who were gathered in Lugogo, and what were they doing? They were appealing to the president. They were pleading with him. Major pastors in this land and men of God gathered and pleading to the president, please, president, help us. You are our all in all. You are our ultimate. They have literally become politicians. Now, when you have, no wonder.
So this is the issue, that some of the firebrand preachers today are not towing the line.
Exactly.
And so, this could be the issue. Are we dealing with the politics?
Let me just respond.
I don't think that we are dealing with politics. This is a fundamental thing. Brothers, let us look at this thing, not only for our generation today, but when you look at the future of this country, when you look at the future of Africa, when you look at the future of those that will be here after us, do you see that we are in the right direction? Can't we do something that puts us together to speak a language that explains who we are? Because in this policy, for me, what I see in here is a language that talks about who talks about God, and who has what, and who defends what.
Maybe let me just say something in response to my colleague. Number one, under Article 20 of the Constitution, human rights are inherent. They are God-given. What this policy does is that it wants us to go to the government to seek power for us to be able to exercise our freedom of religion. Freedom of religion is guaranteed under Article 29 of the Constitution. It's a sacrosanct act. It's a sacrosanct doctrine or principle that cannot be regulated or cannot be limited by the government. What does that mean? That now, under Article 21, you can't discriminate based on religion. What this policy does is that it creates discrimination. Then under Article 43, which is the major contentious issue, which even their researcher has failed to respond to. Article 43 of the Constitution says human rights can be limited under about three categories. The main one being public interest. Then we have had three cases which have interpreted this particular article. The case of Charles Onyango Obo versus the Attorney General, which quoted the case of Reverend Father Christopher Mitikila versus the Attorney General, a Tanzanian case. What did the case say? It says that it is the fundamental human rights which are fundamental, not the limitations. What Article 43 does, it creates a limitation. Then in law, under Article 43 Clause 2, we say that there is a limitation upon a limitation. Meaning that whereas you can argue that public interest can be a justification for limiting a human right, public interest cannot fall under the category of political persecution. And number two, that limitation must be one that is acceptable and demonstrably justifiable in a free and democratic state. Justice Mulenga, in the case of Charles Onyango Obo and Andrew Mwenda versus Attorney General, went ahead to elaborate what that is. that acceptable and demonstrably justifiable means that the limitation must first of all seek to protect the human right. Then secondly, you cannot have a limitation that destroys the human right. And in any case, that limitation should be able to address a major mischief, not something that is futuristic.
All right.
What the policy does, it addresses something.
All right. This is what I'm going to do now, gentlemen. I'm going to open the line so I get to hear what other Ugandans are saying other than the gentlemen on this table, and we get their views. And please pick your phone and call us. Be precise and concise, and should you maybe have a different opinion, please give it out with respect, because matters like these sometimes we can go bananas, and I don't want that to happen. so I'm going to pick a call online, and I'm giving you very few seconds. You tell us your name and where you're from, and if you're, yes, we have a call online. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
We're talking to Bully Anthony. I'm calling from Nancy.
Bully Anthony, you're on air. Please be precise.
Yeah. I respect whoever is on the table and for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Now, what I want to say about the policy is that policy looks like it is best. It is focusing on targeting some few individuals. That group of Star, Young Pastor, they want to fight whoever. Because that was what, as I was watching the news, the minister himself said, he has some people that say, whenever this article, this policy passes through, I'm not sure I'll have to see some pastors like Pastor Mchingo. So the policy is like, they want some key leaders within the church fraternity, they want to remove from down.
So what you're saying that, Bully, what you're saying that they're bringing a law to target some individuals?
Yes, of course.
All right. Okay, I think you've made your point, sir, and thank you very much. I'm going to pick another call online, and then we'll get to hear what the views are from different people. And I can have a call online. Hello. Hello. Okay, looks like we're having a problem getting to that caller. I'm going to try another one, and then I'll have my panelists make their final or concluding arguments on the matter. I have a call online. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from? Your line is not very clear, ma'am, but could you tell us again your name and where you're calling from? Okay, and what's your point, sir, madam?
Yes.
Okay, could go ahead, madam. No, it's a pity. We can't make sense of what you're saying. I apologize for a poor line, and for that matter, unfortunately, we have lost a voice of a female caller there. So I'm going to try another, and I hope this one is going to be okay. I have a call online. Hello.
Yeah. Good evening. This is David calling from Kida.
David Nikida.
Yes.
Ntida, you're on air, David.
Yes. Now, my worry is with so many religions mushrooming currently in Uganda.
Yes.
For instance, the guy in Kamweno calling himself a god.
Yeah.
Now, without any regulation, don't you think soon we shall have a Chiwetel of sort? And are we going to blame government for not coming in early, like how we did blame government for having not been keen with Chiwetel running a cult back then? So how do the gentlemen advise? Because I see every other day different religions are mushrooming and there's totally no regulation.
Good point.
So how is government supposed to help prevent cults coming in as well?
Thank you very much. You've spoken with a lot of clarity on your issue, and I'll have the gentleman in the studio respond. Yes. Let me have another call online, and maybe take two more. My producer is telling me quite a number of you would want to participate in this issue. So let me hear a few of you. I have a call online. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good evening. I'm from Arua. My name is Ali.
Arua. You are from Arua, and your name is Ali.
My name is Ali.
Alex. Oh. Unfortunately, we've lost that connection to Arua. I'm going to try and get another caller online, and I will have a caller in. Hello. Hello. Okay. Unfortunately now, we are cutting those calls because of the technical hitch. I'm going to begin with you, Simon, and then the bishop and conclude with Imam. Yeah.
All right. In response to this?
In response to this and your concluding argument.
All right. Then we have had two phone calls, and then the first argument, the first statement from Bule from NASA, the law targets individuals. Emphatically, yes, it targets individuals, but again, that is an argument that's a little limited. Now, the perpetrators of this policy many a times have appeared in the media and have made the same statements that actually the law is meant to curtail mushrooming churches. The language of Father Simon Lokodo is even very specific. He says, my pastors, a sort of arrogant language that uses as if he controls what should be happening and who the pastors belong to him. So he says, I will control them. How again does the law target individuals? When you read the preamble of the law and the executive summary of the law, the biggest contentions about why the law is being brought is arising from majorly the churches. I don't think the churches have the biggest problems, but by the time the choice of language in the policy is specific to only one category of individuals, then at all levels we can be quick to say it targets particular individuals. Again, the events surrounding the making of the policy can give us a justification for this. The way in which the consultations have been conducted, the fact that there are no reports that have been made public, the fact that the Ministry of Ethics and Integrity has failed to respond to public petitions concerning the policy and how it's being run, and the fact that even some of the officials from the Ministry of Ethics and Integrity can't come out publicly to speak about this policy, to defend their position. They only go undercover. Secondly, David from Tinda says that the question of the mushrooming religions. My colleague David, let me give you the advantage of knowing the law. Article 7 of the Constitution of Uganda says that Uganda shall not adopt a state religion. In a South African case of Prince versus the state, which is an authoritative case, say that religion by its nature is sacrosanct. It can be expressed in ways which are illogical and bizarre. What does that mean? That a person can express themselves in their manner of faith in a way you may find illogical or even stupid.
This is why I was saying the people in Kamwenga have a right to do what
exactly. Now,
this is what exactly.
How do we deal with that?
This is what exactly they're saying.
Yes. How do we deal with that? Uganda has a plethora of laws that address these issues. The issues that are raised in the problem statement of the policy can be handled by the Penal Code Act. They can be handled by the Anti-Corruption Act. There's even a whole anti-corruption unit under the Office of the President, and even an anti-corruption court. We have had a precedent of pastors who have actually been brought to book, even other religious leaders. What is my parting shot?
Yes, please. The time is out now.
In 2013, a man of God, Prophet Elvis Mbonye, stood in this land and gave a prophecy and said that this policy emanates from the pits of hell. It has come to destroy the freedom of religion. 2017, he went ahead to warn and to show that actually this policy was being raised by particular individuals who were actually seeking appeal to the state, and they had come to confront and to destroy the church.
Okay.
What does that mean to us? That when the voice of the prophet raises up and gives us warning and direction, it is only but wise that we heed it. Then my final appeal to my colleagues like Bishop Buyondo and others who are in the gospel, who are men of God with genuine calls, but somehow they have given themselves over to the state to listen to God. It is God who appoints. Jesus had controversy in his time. There was no time, there was no day when he ever thought, when he ever sought the assistance of Herod to come in and regulate the body of Christ.
All right, thank you. You made your point, and as you respond, there's also somebody here is saying, I respectfully take exception to Bishop Buyondo's duplicity. You cannot claim divine instruction at the same time seek the recognition of the state, which is an earthly entity. Andrew Karamagi.
I don't think that
God has to be God.
I don't think that we are seeking for state recognition, but instead we are the government. Because I've worked for government, I know how government operates. Government cannot work without a policy, cannot work with you without a policy. And government wants